What is up? It's Casey Molina here, and I'm back with another video. So I took to Instagram, I asked people who follow me, that I follow, friends of mine, how confident they felt in their recycling ability, and the overwhelming 77% said they did not feel confident in their ability to recycle. And unfortunately, I fit within that vast majority of people that feel that I'm someone who's tried to be more conscious of their environmental impact over the past couple years, but I can say with certainty that recycling is something that just confuses me, that I try and do it and I try and be mindful of it, but I really don't know if I'm doing it right. And even more so, I've been with so many people in situations where we throw our things away or we try and compost or recycle and we just sit there and we're like, yeah, I don't really know how to recycle. I don't know if I'm doing this right. So I wanted to just do some research, figure it out, and then share that knowledge with you guys. So I took to YouTube, I took to Instagram, I took to Google, and I did some research on recycling and how to recycle. Okay, so first and foremost, I did something that I think is a little bit gross, but also could be really cool and a great learning experience. I collected the trash the recycling that I have in my apartment from myself and my two roommates that I live with in LA. And I thought it would be really cool to go through it and just kind of give you guys real examples of what is recyclable and what is not. But first off, I wanted to start off this video with a little bit of information and things that I found out about recycling. So let's get into that. Okay, so first of all, unfortunately, 25% of what we try to recycle is actually not recyclable at all. And that's really unfortunate because when you put in things into single stream and mixed recycling systems that are not recyclable, it has to be sorted out. So whether it's you or someone else, someone has to go through and sort that, and it takes more time, more energy, more effort, and more money, unfortunately, to recycle these things. And when we have to go through and we have to sort after the fact, it almost makes it less effective than just not using any plastic at all. So recycling is trying to do a good thing, but when you don't do it correctly, it actually does more harm than good. So a term that you might have heard a lot is single stream recycling. So what is considered single stream recycling is your papers, your plastics, your glasses, your metals, things like that are all single stream recycling. And a lot of what goes into single stream recycling also goes into what's called a material recovery system. So I've taken some notes here. So these facilities essentially are what I talked about before. So it takes that single stream recycling and it sorts it at a facility. But some single stream recycling systems require you to pre-sort. And studies have shown that when you pre-sort your recycling, it leaves you more accountable. And then when your recycling goes to those recycling facilities, it actually has less errors and costs less energy to go through it and recycle everything. So that's pretty cool. So I know a lot of people, they want to help the environment, they want to be a part of this environmental movement where we're just being overall more conscious of what we're doing and what we're consuming. But unfortunately, if you don't know how to recycle, the best rule of thumb is when in doubt, throw it out. Just throw it away. Don't try and be the savior or the superhero. Just assume you don't know if it's recyclable and just throw it in the trash. A lot of people, a lot of Americans that don't know how to recycle really want to do the right thing, and they really want to convince themselves that what they've just used is recyclable. It can have another life. Most of the time, it cannot. And so we do what is called wish cycling, and we just throw everything in the recycling bin when it's really trash. So a lot of mixed recycling programs are able to break down more complex plastics and other types of cardboard products, but for single stream, just stick to the very basics. If it is a single material that can be turned into another single material, then most likely it is recyclable. Plastic bags are not recyclable in a single stream or mixed recycling system. Do not put your plastic bags in the recycling bin because they're not recyclable unless you take them to a grocery store drop-off. And realistically, not a lot of people do that unless you're really conscious, or you just have a lot of time to go to the grocery store and drop off plastic bags whenever you use them. But that's not me. So I really just try not to use plastic bags, and I really just try and use reusable plastic bags when I have the opportunity to. Okay, the second thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is two-sort recycling systems. So what is a two-sort recycling system? A two-sort is mixed recyclables and glass containers. So paper, metal, plastic, and like big plastic tubs of laundry detergent and opaque plastics are usually included in these types of recycling systems. But whatever you do, just make sure that those containers are only 6 ounces to 5 gallons in size. Anything past that is not considered acceptable to fit within this specific type of recycling system. Another thing that I found really interesting that I had no idea about was soiled, well, I kind of knew this, but soiled food in containers should not be recycled. So typically we think a pizza box, I just ordered pizza, I just saved the environment. Unfortunately, if those pizza boxes are soiled with cheese or grease or anything from the pizza, they're not recyclable anymore. And that's the general rule of thumb for things that are typically considered recyclable. If they are soiled with food that's not able to be rinsed out and washed off, they're no longer considered recyclable. And I know that I can be very guilty of this. I had no idea about the pizza boxes thing, but in my own recycling, I do really try and go out of my way to rinse things off. Another thing I didn't know is that metal hangers are not recyclable. Do not throw your metal hangers in the recycling bin, because again, when the recycling goes to these sort facilities, workers are manually picking things off of the conveyor belt. Metal hangers can be very dangerous if it pokes somebody or they just kind of mangled or sharp. So you should not be recycling wires of any kind or metal hangers. The other thing too is lids are not recyclable. I know in some municipality recycling centers, they say you can keep the lid on top of the original container. The research I did said the lids are not recyclable, so I would say maybe just remove them to be safe and throw them in the trash. Another thing that blew my mind, because clearly I'm proving I don't know how to recycle, is that glass containers need to be separated from your typical recycling. I had no idea about that. Yeah, you should be keeping glass containers separate from your other recyclables because they can be broken down into different things. Also, quick side note, aluminum foil is very recyclable. I did not know that, but yeah, it's super recyclable, so you should recycle aluminum. Okay, dishware, ceramics, glass, containers like cups are not recyclable. If you break a dish, it does not go in the recycling bin. It goes in the trash. Again, think of those workers that are in the warehouses manually sorting through garbage. That stuff is very plastic. What? That stuff is very sharp and very dangerous for them to be going through. So just make sure you're disposing of it in the garbage can. Don't recycle hazardous materials. Okay, so moving into the second part of this video, I thought it would be really helpful to go through the recycling numbers. So those are those little numbers on the bottoms of containers. Let me see if I can find one, for example. Okay, so this is a bottle of liquid dish soap from Trader Joe's. The recycling number on the bottom, you probably can't see it, but it says PETE1. From what I learned from my handy dandy research, PETE1 is polyethylene terephthalate, and it's considered plastic number 1. To conclude all of that, all the plastic numbers, the basic rule of thumb that I found, so if you remember nothing else from this video, just remember to avoid plastics 3, 6, and 7. Those are plastics that are not recycling friendly. And be sure to go for plastics 2, 4, and 5. Remember, you can recycle plastic number 1, but that's water bottles. They're still really hard to recycle, although they are recyclable. Just takes a lot of energy. So if you can avoid it, please do so. Please use reusable water bottles. So without further ado, let's get into the second part of the video where we go through my recycling and we figure out what we've thrown in here that may or may not be recyclable. Oh my god, this fly. Okay, so we're gonna go through my recycling now to figure out what's in here that is not recyclable. So first up, we have a plastic number 5. I can't remember or not if that's recyclable. You know what, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go through the plastics, I'm gonna sort everything out, and then I'm just gonna come back and talk to you guys when it's done. Okay, bye. Okay, so this is what the finished result is looking like. So let's just take a look at everything. So basically, I've separated this between what is recyclable, what's plastic, that's number 1 and is recyclable, what's glass, and then some other miscellaneous things that I just wanted to make note of. So first and foremost, everything in this pile is recyclable. It's all cardboard, and none of it has been soiled, so we're gonna recycle all of this. This I wasn't sure about, but it felt like a PET1 plastic, and it actually wasn't labeled, so I'm gonna put it in the recycling with the PETE1 plastics because these are recyclable. Next, I wanted to talk to you about the difference between these two cans. So this can was heavily soiled. It had some sort of oily thing in it that was leaking all over my hands and was really gross. And then these are all tuna cans that I used that I rinsed out. So these, there's a piece of paper in there, but I think that's recyclable. These were washed out by me after I used them. So these are good to go. So because this isn't mine, I'm not going to touch it anymore because it's gotten all over my hands. But yeah, so just make sure you're rinsing out your recycling because if it's soiled, you can't recycle it. So definitely do that. And then lastly over here, the culprits that are not recyclable. So this container is super soiled and gross, so that's not recyclable. This container, as you can see, is also soiled and gross, and it's not recyclable. And I found like pieces of little plastic in there as I was going along. Neither of these types of plastics are recyclable, as we learned. And then another thing I didn't mention was paper towels are not recyclable. You cannot put these in single stream recycling because they do not count. Plastic utensils, also not recyclable. These do not go in single stream or even mixed recycling. So make sure not to recycle these. These were kind of funny because they had a recycling number that says 0 on them. You can literally see right here, it says 0. So if it says 0, I'm just gonna assume that it's not recyclable plastic since it's not 1 through 7. More tiny pieces of plastic that not gonna recycle. And then another thing I forgot to mention, coffee cups are not recyclable. Paper cups are not recyclable. You cannot recycle these. The shape that they are does not go into a single or mixed recycling stream system. I'm just throwing this all over the place. And then the lid does not go in recycling either. So yeah. So basically now what I'm gonna do is resort the recycling and take it out where it needs to be taken out to. And yeah. So basically, I hope this video helped you guys. I hoped it was something that kind of educated you a little bit because doing the research for it allowed me to educate myself a lot and I've learned so much. So yeah, I just hope that it was just as helpful for you guys. Yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know if you want to make any videos. Let me know if you want me to make any other videos that talk about like eco-friendliness, recycling, zero waste is a journey that I'm still embarking on. If you want me to talk about zero waste swaps that I've made and plan to make in the future, I can make a video about that. Yeah, and if you like this video, be sure to like it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and this is Casey Molina, over and out.